Hello, my lovely young ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grade 7. I really missed all of you, and I hope you are doing well. This is Hagar Muhammad Salah, and inshallah, it's gonna be a very wonderful year. So be ready, and let's start.
Hello, Grade 7. Today's lesson is about Grammar 1 in Unit 4, Code. The lesson is about how to differentiate between past perfect simple and the past perfect continuous. First, let's start with the past perfect simple tense. Let's look at these examples. I had eaten my breakfast before I went to school. The second example is, after he had taken his music lesson, he made a telephone call. Can you see here? We have two actions. Action number 1, which is I had eaten my breakfast. This is number 1, and it started and finished before the second action, which is I went to school. So the past perfect simple tense is used here to talk about something started and finished, happened in the past before another action started also in the past. So the function of the past perfect is to talk about an action in the past before another action in the past also. So sometimes we can call the past perfect the past of the past. Let's take an example. When I arrived at the station, the bus had already left. Which one is action number 1 and which one is action number 2? Good job. I arrived is the latest action. It means this is action number 2. But the past action or the old action is, yes, the bus had already left. Let's discuss this example together. The train had gone when I arrived at the station. Had gone, the train had gone is action number 1. I arrived is action number 2. Can you see here we have two tenses, two different tenses, past perfect simple and the past simple. So the latest action or action number 2 will be past simple all the time. And the old action or action number 1 will be past perfect all the time. Both action 1 and action 2 are in the past. Action 1 happened and finished before action number 2. Here, in this time diagram of example number 1, here we have a very good explanation of the train had gone. It means we don't know when exactly the train went. We don't know exactly the time. Action 1, which is action 1. But it went at any point of time before the second action, which is I arrived. Let's look at this example. When I arrived at the station, the bus had already left. On the timeline, you will find the first action, yes, in the past, and the second action also in the past. But the action number 1 happened before action number 2. Action 1 past perfect, action 2 past simple. So past perfect will be started and finished before past simple. So the bus had already left. This is number 1. 2, I arrived at the station. How to formulate the past perfect sentence, we use had and the past participle, like the train had gone, I had had lunch, he had been a waiter. Here I'm using the third shape of the verb, which is past participle. Had deals with any subject pronoun, like I, he, she, it, they, we, and you. We can use had with all of them. Then we have to add past participle. This is the affirmative form. The negative form, it's gonna be had not, or you can use the short form hadn't, as you see. Interrogative or question, how to form a question in the past perfect. We will use had as a helper, then the subject and the PP. Here we have some examples, like she had finished the homework by the time mom came back. It means when mom came back. So the first action is had finished, and the second action is mom came. This is the affirmative verb. What about negative? It's gonna be she hadn't or had not. The question should be had, then subject and PP. The keywords of the past perfect simple tense. We have after, as soon as, and you will find had and PPB after them. The next side will be past simple. We have opposite words like before and by the time. So they will be the opposite of after and the as soon as. So they will be followed by past simple, then past perfect, had and PP. Let's go to past perfect continuous. It's very easy and it's very close to the past perfect simple, but we have a very little difference between them. The continuous form of the past perfect expresses longer actions before another action in the past. It's also similar to the present perfect continuous, but instead of the time being now, the time is the past. Let's take an example. I had been waiting in the line for hours until I could finally pay my bills. Here I'm talking about a long time. I'm focusing on the duration, not the completion of the verb or the action. The second example, I have been waiting for hours when my wife arrived. Let's discuss the example on the timeline. I had been waiting for hours when my wife arrived. The first action, I was waiting. I had been waiting. And the second action is, yes, the wife arrived. So I was doing the action of waiting before the second action, wife arrived. So it also talks about, yes, something started before another action and both are in the past. But in the continuous form of the past perfect, it takes a long time while happening. Let's have a look at the affirmative form. How can we use the past perfect continuous? We shall use I, you, he, she, it, we, they, you. Then had been or been waiting. ing, verb with ing. So our main form will be had been in the past perfect continuous. The negative will be had not been waiting, or had not been and verb with ing. And you can use the short form. Now the question, had will be our helper for sure, then your subject, been, and verb with ing. Let's have some exercise. Now you will put the verb into the past perfect simple or continuous. So you have to read your sentence very well and decide. Is it focused on completion of the action? Is it ended or it takes a long time? Number 1, the game by the time we arrived. Not start. We're going to use negative form. Think very well. Good job. We will see at the end. Were you afraid after the plane space take off? And here the third question, fourth and fifth. Think about them very well. I need you to write your answers down in a paper. Hurry up. Think about which verb takes a long time. Let's check together. Yes, number 1 is hadn't started. Excellent. Number 2, yes, I can hear you. Excellent. It's gonna be had taken. Number 3, had been preparing. Good job, because I took a lot of time for the party, 4 hours. He had to leave because he to pick Molly up. Yes, excellent. Had arranged. I don't have here a long time. Ben was fired. He for another company. So he takes a long time. Excellent. So it's gonna be had been spying. Let's see the next exercise. Think very well. Write your answers down. And we're gonna check together. Focus on the completion or the duration. Take care. You have to look very well at the sentence. If the meaning focuses on a long time, it's gonna be continuous. Let's check together. Number 6, excellent. It's had been shouting. For a long time, I have here time expression or some words to express the meaning. For a long time, so it's gonna be continuous. Number 7, they were hungry because they anything. Did it take a long time? No. So it's gonna be hadn't eaten. Her eyes were red. She cried. Great, had been crying. She took a long time, so the result, her eyes were red. Number 9, the email before you arrived. I'm not talking here about a long time or a duration, so it's gonna be had written. Don't forget to revise the PP, guys. The past participle. You have to revise all the past participle of the irregular verbs. John was tired. Number 10, John was tired. He for 24 hours. Yes, he hadn't slept. Excellent. Good job. Thank you so much for watching. See you next video, inshallah. Bye bye.